Hi guys, welcome to another video. Hope you're all keeping well. Now for this video, I'd like to review a horror Blu-ray that I watched just last night. It's based on a H.P. Lovecraft story, The Colour Out of Space. It was directed by David Keith and it stars Will Wheaton, Claude Atkins and Cooper Huckabee. And that is a movie called The Curse. Yeah, watched it last night and thoroughly enjoyed it. This is actually the first version of that Nicolas Cage movie that I watched a couple of weeks ago and I didn't like, The Colour Out of Space. And people were right when they said this is a better version. Yeah, loved it, absolutely loved it. Yeah, there you go. There's a couple of stills, guys, from the movie. That's the guy that used to be in it. That's the guy that used to be. He turns out to be a right monster. He really does. Yeah, he was in Moving On in the 1970s. You know, about two truck drivers. I don't know if you remember it or not. But yeah, okay, yeah. So I'm going to give you my thoughts now on this movie, guys, yeah, and give you some sort of idea of the story, just in case you haven't seen it. I can't read you the back, guys, because it's all in it. It's all in foreign, because I got it on one of the foreign Amazons, yeah. So I'll just tell you the story off the top of my head, yeah. It's basically about it's basically the same kind of story of the Nicolas Cage one, but it's much better. You know, it's more horrific, you know, and there's a lot more going on in this one. It's basically about this meteorite that crashes to Earth and that, you know, in Tennessee, you know, the outback. It's sort of like, you know, American, like the wilderness and that, you know, a lot of families that's like living isolated. And this particular family, headed by this monster of a man, this patriarch, it lands near where he lives and all hell breaks loose because what happens is, it infects the water of the community and it affects the animals, it affects the humans, and if you drink it and that, you turn into this sort of like monster, you know. It's very reminiscent of the kind of story what James Herbert would write, you know, this sort of like man against nature, when nature turns bad, you know, like The Fog, you know, movies like that, The Mist by Stephen King, you know, and one of H.P. Lovecraft's greatest stories and that, you know, because the meteorite, the way they do it and that, you know, it crashes into the ground and it starts glowing and that, you know, and it's a slow build up basically. Starts off with the animals and that, and it moves on to the family. And there's one particular horrific scene where the mother is sort of like she gets sort of like apples and that, you know, and she's sort of like in the kitchen and that, you know, cooking them. And there's all, when she cooks, it slices one open. There's all these maggots inside, you know, and the same thing happens again when this guy is out, you know, in, you know, in the farm with the apples and that, you know, he cuts them open and there's all maggots and that. So that's just one horrific incident, you know. And you've got this other guy as well. He's a kind of a ruthless J.R. Ewing character, because he takes exception to the fact that, you know, with the meteorite landing, he takes exception to the fact that the townsfolk, well, there's not all that many people there really, because it's only like, it's an isolated community. They want to sort of like, he's scared of them going to the papers and sort of like giving a bad impression of the town, because he's got plans to expand, you know, in the sort of like water industry, and he doesn't want anything to get in his way of his business plans. And that's, he's a kind of a ruthless kind of character, you know. He's a bit of a seedy character as well, and that, you know, because he crawls up to like this other guy from, he's like a kind of an official, and he's got plans for the town as well. So he sort of like crawls up to him and that, you know, he's very sly. You know, talk about contemptible characters. He's another one of those dodgy characters, guys. You know, yeah. Yeah, this is a very enjoyable movie, and as I say, you know, it's packed with horrific scenes, you know, and lovely colour as well, guys, I must say, you know, and I believe they've done a couple more of these Curse movies. The next one's got Christopher Lee in it, but it's an entirely different story. I think it's more along the lines of Voodoo, but that's been very hard to get, the second one. But I'll keep looking, like, you know, but I really enjoyed this, guys. It was fantastic, you know, much better than that crap Nicolas Cage one. That was a load of tosh, that, it really was, but this was fantastic. I'm keeping this in my collection. So, if you haven't seen The Curse, guys, from 1987, I highly recommend that you get yourself a copy of this. I had a blast with it, you know. I love the characters, I love the family, I love the way they, you know, when he got infected, when he drank the water, they turned into like these like demonic, they were like kind of demonically possessed, you know, creatures, because in one scene the mother gets infected and they have to tie her to the bed, Regan style, you know, like the little girl in The Exorcist. We have to tie her to the bed, and this guy here, from Moving On, he's a kind of a religious nut, you know, because he's very cruel and that, you know, to his sort of like stepson. You know, he's a nasty piece of work even before he gets infected. You know, he slaps his stepson across the face, you know, and he's real nasty. You know, he's a real nasty piece of work and that, you know. At times I felt really sorry for the poor lad, you know, the way he was treating him and that, you know, and the mother, that's the way she changes into this monster. Oh yeah, and a couple of other monsters as well. Other people that get, you know, that drink the water, they become these like demonically sort of like alien type creatures and that. They get these sort of like boils all over their face and that. And oh, it's a great one, this, guys. I really enjoyed it, yeah. You know, as I say, if you like your H.P. Lovecraft stories, I highly recommend this one, The Curse from 1987. I had a blast with this, yeah. And as I say, I'm going to watch it again very, very soon. Okay, guys, on to a rating now for The Curse. I've got no hesitation whatsoever. A full 10 out of 10 because that's how much I enjoyed this movie. It was a brilliant movie. Knocked spots off that rubbishy Nicolas Cage thing. The Colour Out of Space. You know, this is a much, much better version. You know, I love the scenery, the cinematography. I love the characters, the family, and that. You know, the sort of like the subplot of the father. You know, he's a stepfather and that. You know, and always the way he treats that poor lad. You know, you really feel really sorry for him. You know, and then you've got like this kind of doctor in it as well. He's a kind of a hero really in that. You know, but he's got this excuse me, he's got this rather sexy wife. She's showing a bit of leg there, guys. Yeah, she's sort of like, she likes the men and that, you know. And but I won't go on too much about that. Oh, yeah, missus. I'll let you see that for yourself. Yeah. Okay, guys, that's my review of The Curse from 1987. Have you seen The Curse? What did you think of it? Let me know in the comments down below. You know, I'd be very interested, you know, to hear what your thoughts about. Oh yeah, I love this movie, guys. Yeah. Oh look, yeah. As I say, one of H.P. Lovecraft's best stories, you know, and he did a real good job with this, the characters and that, you know, and the way the animals as well got infected and that, the chickens and that, they attacked the poor girl in the barn, you know, and they get the dogs and that, the dogs get infected. It's like a James Herbert novel. It reminded me of The Fog. If any of you have read The Fog, James Herbert's follow-up to The Rats, you'll know what I mean. You know, nature, you know, it's sort of like taking a horrific turn and wreaking havoc with mankind. Very, 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 this is the kind of story what James Herbert could have written, or even Stephen King, because he's written a couple of, stories like that, where nature turns against man and that, you know. And, but, oh yeah, I really enjoyed The Curse, guys. I'm going to try and get the others if I can. Yeah. Okay then, guys, that concludes my review of The Curse from 1987. Great, great movie. One of H.P. Lovecraft's best stories. Have you seen The Curse? What did you think of it? Leave a comments down below. I'd be very interested, you know, to read your thoughts. Yeah. Okay, guys, that's it. Usually, if you like the video, you know, please feel free to share, subscribe, and all going well. I'll be back again very, very soon with another video. Take care. Bye for now.